Hi, Ms. Rail. So I found this book really fascinating, and I thought it was interesting because of all of the examples of magical realism that we have either viewed or read, I thought that, basically, I think that magical realism is a very flexible genre because, the first example that we read was by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and his style I feel like is so much different than Isabel Allende's, and and maybe it was because he was foretelling a death that had happened, and obviously the plot was different, so he told the story in a different way. But I just but then it's not just that Chronicle of a Death Foretold that was different, but also like Water for Chocolate was extremely different too. Um, Even though it was a movie and it wasn't a book, it was still an example of magical realism, and I felt that that was still, it had a different feel than House of the Spirits as well. And then of course the graphic novel that we read, Day Tripper, and obviously that's going to have a different feel to it because it's not, well, it's more modern, I guess I should say. I was gonna say that it's doesn't have as many Latin American influences, but it does. But it's just that I don't think I've ever seen a genre of film or novels that is so flexible as magical realism is, and that even though it's flexible and there's so many different interpretations of it and applications of it, it still has that overarching feel of mysticism and of just I wrote this in my blog post, that although it's kind of a stretch, magical realism reminds me of an episode of The Twilight Zone. It feels extremely realistic. It's just like it's happening in real life, but it just has that twist of this kind of mystical or otherworldly, other dimensional element. I also think that this book was different than other magical realism books because it had such an important historical aspect to it. This was originally supposed to be a letter to her grandfather, and then it just evolved into this kind of just chronicle of her life and everyone else's life in Chile, and just how like the crumbling of Allende's presidency affected so many people, and then how other things that affected more things on a global scale, such as suffrage and World War One and all of those. So although it is firmly rooted in magical realism, I feel that it also just has this huge sense of analysis of the 20th century in general. And so I thought that was really cool. It was unlike any book that I had ever read. Either things are very set in stone, like this is a historical fiction, this is a biography, this is this, and in some ways it was historical fiction, a biography, magical realism, it just all wrapped up into one. And to make a text to text connection, I find it hard because I've never read a book that encompasses so many different literary devices and literary genres. So yeah, I hope I didn't ramble too much. But so I guess in summation, this book is unlike any other book I've ever read, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you for letting me read it.